2024. And I am Jackie Lukeman. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It is a lovely Friday. It has been finally a milder Friday here in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. Oh, goodness. It has been so incredibly hot. The heat has been something that we have not been used to here in the DMV area. But, climate change being what it is, real in everything, we're going to have to get used to these extremes in the weather. But of course, all of that extreme heat produced a really active thunderstorm, which cooled us down, and that's fantastic. So today was a wonderful day for me to get out in the garden and talk to the plants and sing and dance with them a little bit. You don't sing and dance with your plants if you are a gardener. I think you should be. They do like music and they like being talked to. So it doesn't matter how insane my neighbors think I am. They know that every spring and summer I'm out in the front yard doing my shenanigans with the garden, and everything is coming along very, very nicely. There is a lot to talk about in politics, in domestic affairs, and foreign affairs. And let's just start with the whole RNC convention, shall we? Because, I didn't watch the whole thing. Because honestly, why? Why would you subject yourself to that? We all know what they're going to say. We all know what the GOP is about. There's nothing that is a surprise or nothing that should be a surprise to any of us in the GOP platform and their convention. Obviously, Trump is the nominee. It doesn't matter how many times he has been convicted of whatever crime. It doesn't matter. It never mattered. We told you that it wasn't going to matter. We told you all of this effort to demonize or not demonize, to criminalize Trump's behavior, which, yeah, okay, if you and I did it, sure, we go to prison. But how many presidents have gotten away with the kind of behavior that Trump has gotten away with? We know at least one, because as the Democrats were trying to, as they were in the process of building a case against Trump for mishandling documents, what did we find out about the Democratic president and his problem with mishandling documents from his 40 years in the Senate? All of those documents ended up in some place that was not secure, that they should have been. So while the Democrats were going after Trump for mishandling documents, hoping that he would be convicted of that, we find out Joe Biden did the same thing, and he's not being sued. As a matter of fact, if I recall, that one of the people investigating Biden's document mishandling case said that he didn't think Biden intended to mishandle the documents, to store them in an insecure place, because all of these documents were somewhere in, I think, the University of Delaware, that has his library. And they shouldn't have been there because they were Senate documents. They are classified documents. They belonged to, I believe, the U.S. Senate. They need to be the ones to secure those documents. But Joe Biden had other ideas. So he decided to let his library at the University of Delaware have those documents without the approval of the people in the Senate who were supposed to take care of those things. So now, simultaneously, as the Democrats were trying to sue Trump for mishandling documents, it becomes revealed that Joe Biden mishandled documents from his 40 years in the Senate. And we see the different responses from the Democratic Party to Biden's mishandling documents, as opposed to the Democrats and Trump mishandling documents. Trump mishandling documents is a crime that needs to be punished, right? Trump needs to be sued for that, and the Democrats hope he will be found guilty. Joe Biden mishandling documents. Not that big of a deal. Oh, why are you making such a big deal? My God, that is so not a big deal. He's done so much more for us. Why are you paying attention to? Do you see the yeah. So that happened. And now it seems that the attorney or the judge who is adjudicating Trump's mishandled classified documents case, I think the judge threw out the case. And of course, the judge was appointed by Trump. And yes, I'm laughing because as much of a creative as I am, and I love to write, and I write articles for Black Agenda Report and for Hood Communist and all this kind of stuff, and I do my monologues. And as creative as I am, I could not have come up with a storyline as good, as twisted, as ridiculous, as comical, as hypocritical as what is going on right now in this presidential campaign. Excuse me. So the judge throws out Trump's case. The prosecutor appeals the judge throwing out the case, all while Trump is running for president. He is the GOP nominee. He accepted the nomination at the RNC convention. But okay, Trump isn't even the main event, though, at the RNC convention. He's not even the person I really want to talk about in regard to this convention. What I want to talk about are the Black people that the GOP trotted out to try to clean up their image. Now, this is not new, folks. The GOP, every 4 years at their RNC, they always have this cavalcade of clowns. I cannot say the other word. They always have this cavalcade of clowns in blackface, Black folks who are doing their clownery, who are carrying water for the GOP, and they did not disappoint this year. Excuse me. Not only did they have noted Black Republican conservative politicians like Tim Scott, who, remember, Tim Scott was really on that step and fetch it for a while, really hard, trying to get the nomination from Donald Trump to run as his vice president. We know that's what it was. Come on. And what happened? Donald Trump did not choose Tim Scott, despite all of his, oh, I love you so much, Mr. Trump, and all of this kind of foolishness that he subjected himself to. He groveled almost at the feet of this man. And what does Tim Scott get for all of his groveling and pandering and genuflecting and kissing the ring of Trump publicly? He got passed over for that vice president running mate slot. But Tim Scott faithfully goes out and continues to rep his presidential candidate at the convention. At the RNC, Tim Scott said that America is not a racist country. This is something he said in 2021 also. He said it again at the RNC this week. He said, I know this is going to offend the liberal elites. Every time I say it, it offends them. But if you were looking for racism today, you'd find it in cities run by Democrats. He was slammed, of course, for refusing to acknowledge racial discrimination and the lasting impacts of America's original sin. Excuse me. Which is not just slavery, but it's also settler colonialism and genocide of indigenous people, but slavery absolutely a part of that. And for defending a party that platforms the Great Replacement theory and has played a direct hand in ending affirmative action, gutting the Voting Rights Act, and banning people of color from the country. People have called Scott's performance, his speech at the RNC convention tragic and shameful. It's a shameful level of willful ignorance. Nina Turner said that she was so disappointed in Tim Scott, particularly since he is a Black man born and raised in the South. She said, it's irrefutable that this country was founded on white supremacy and bigotry. And it is irrefutable that it is still in action, not in individuals, but in how power is used against African Americans and other people of color. She said, Scott knows this. He's a smart man, so he's playing to that base. However, Turner said she agreed with Scott's critique on Democratic leaders, and I do too, telling the Griot there are racist and anti-Black bigots on both sides of the ledger. The former U.S. congressional candidate added, I've experienced that type of racism from Democrats. Turner noted that some Republicans conflate racism with Black people and the idea of Black people being racist toward white people. That is the only context in which a lot of white people really ever talk about racism. But here's the thing, I think, about what Tim Scott said about racism in cities run by Democrats. It's not racism that's the problem with these folks necessarily. Sometimes it is, I think, but what it really is neoliberalism. What it really is classism. What it really is a hatred of the poor. What it really is the political upper class. I hate to call them elites because they're not better than us. There's nothing about them that makes them elite. They are filthy, stinking rich because they have stolen the fruits of our labor. But they're not elite because they're thieves and they're good at being thieves. They're just filthy, stinking rich. And they have been ruthless in amassing wealth and power to use it to continue to exploit working people and steal from us. That doesn't make them elite. That makes them our enemy. But these people, they don't like working class and poor people. And in a lot of these cities, those folks are indeed Black Democrats. Here in Washington, D.C., I can tell you right now, Mayor Muriel Bowser does not like working class and poor Black folks, especially Black youth. That crime bill that was passed that criminalizes Black youth even more, that brings back stop and frisk with the intention of targeting our Black youth, particularly over here in Southeast and Northeast DC, where the poor population, where what's left of us are still here. It is evident in legislation like that, that working class and poor people who already are oppressed and have so little opportunity and ability to just survive are now being additionally targeted basically for being poor, for living in neighborhoods where there aren't a lot of resources, for places for teens to go. So yeah, our kids do a lot of hanging out because there aren't a whole lot of recreation centers that are open. There aren't a whole lot of places that are open for our kids to go to and enjoy themselves. There aren't a lot of jobs for them so they can make a decent amount of money to help with the rent. And a lot of kids don't have families. We don't think about that. A lot of kids don't have families to take care of them. So we are dealing with a lot of homeless youth. None of those issues are addressed in this crime bill. Not employment, not lack of housing, not lack of health care, not lack of quality education, not lack of summer engagement programs for youth. None of that. None of that. The only thing this legislation, this crime bill focuses on is criminalizing criminalizing young folks hanging out, basically being on the street where a cop can come up and say, you look like you all are committing a crime or about to commit a crime, or you look like you came from committing a crime. This bill gives the police in DC all kinds of power to profile, to racially profile our youth. And this bill was passed and signed by a Black female Democratic mayor. So I understand that there are people listening who do not like it when we criticize, particularly Black women politicians, but when they do things to harm our people, it must be called out. This is why I called out Marilyn Mosby, and we in the Black Alliance for Peace, and particular in Baltimore, have been calling out Marilyn Mosby for years when she was the state's attorney there, the district attorney there, when she tried, Kimati, when she tried Keith Davis Jr. for a crime that other judges said he couldn't have committed. The evidence wasn't there. The evidence wasn't there. It took another judge to keep Marilyn Mosby from trying Keith Davis Jr. a sixth time. So I don't know how it is that we African Black people are supposed to stay silent about the Black politicians who do us wrong. That does not serve us politically. It does not serve us to ignore when Black politicians stab Black voters, their Black constituents in the back. And apologies for Kimathi and his anger, but you see, he gets angry at this stuff too. You know, that's the kind of house we have. That's the kind of vibe we have here in Lukman Manor. Everybody is mad at the system and how this system takes advantage of us. So when we're looking at the RNC and we see these things that folks like Tim Scott says about the Democrats, and other, Republicans say the same thing. I mean, a broken clock is right at least twice a day. So I'll give him that much, but that does not mean anything else Tim Scott or any other Black conservative says is worth really paying attention to, because they're going to say the same things, even when it comes to criticizing the Democrats, right? We understand, we should understand, we hope you understand that when conservatives criticize Democrats, they don't really mean that they don't like these people, right? It's not a genuine critique of why you should hate the Democrats, because Republicans have been able to do a lot of damage to the fabric of the social safety net, what little bit of it we had left in this country, with the help of the Democrats. They're always, quote unquote, condemning. Right? They're always claiming it's the Democrats who are pushing wokeness, and it's the Democrats who are, pushing trans, they're making up trans rights and all of these things. Republicans really are not angry at the Democrats, because the Republicans understand that they really could not do half of what they want to do. They certainly could not have accomplished what they have accomplished without the help and the collusion and the collaboration of the Democratic Party. Because how does the party that is not in power have enough votes or power to get its agenda advanced in an administration in which the other party is in power and allegedly has the majority, even if it's a slim majority? You see, so there's no way that if the Democrats really were the opposition party to the Republicans, there was no way that the Republicans could have entered into negotiations with the Biden administration during their talks over the Build Back Better bill and the infrastructure or whatever bill, whatever other bill that Biden passed with negotiating with the Republicans. There was no way, if the Democrats didn't agree to it, that the Republicans could have gotten SNAP benefits cut in the negotiations for passing those bills. There was no way that the Republicans could have gotten free lunch, funding for free lunches in public schools reduced, not only during the school year, but also during the summer in a lot of states. They couldn't have done that without the Democrats help. The additional offshore drilling in Alaska that Biden, remember when he campaigned, he said no more new drilling. And the Republicans were saying, drill, baby, drill. And now, under the Biden administration, there were new licenses issued for offshore drilling in Alaska. That was Biden, and that was what the Republicans wanted. So explain to me how the Republicans can get their agenda advanced in a Democratic administration unless they are getting help from the Democrats to pass and forward parts of their agenda. It's the Democrats who are saying, okay, we'll let you have this so you can vote for this legislation that really is not going to do a whole lot to improve the material conditions of our base, but that's not really why we're passing the legislation anyway, so we don't care. We just want your votes to say, look, we were bipartisan. And this is why bipartisanship is it's a poison pill for the people. Because every time a piece of legislation is passed in a bipartisan manner in this country, any semblance of any assistance, improvement for the people has been negotiated out of it by the two parties. So when we look at the RNC convention, or I should say, when I look at the RNC convention, I actually look at it as a form of entertainment almost, because I just want to see who they're gonna trot out this year. What Black person are these people going to trot out this year to try to get us to give them a second look? And by us, I mean Black voters, to try to get Black voters to give them a second look. And they did not disappoint, because they trotted out Amber Rose this year. And listen here, I have no judgment about Amber Rose as an entertainer. Excuse me. I have no judgment whatsoever about her having an OnlyFans. I have no judgment about her starting as an exotic dancer. I don't care. We got to eat. We got to work. We got to do what we got to do to survive. That's cool. And you know what? Sex work is work. So all the workers of the world unite. I don't have a problem with Amber Rose and her how she makes a living. She needs to do what she feels like she needs to do. But the thing is, I understand the folks in the GOP do have a problem with the way Amber makes a living. Because if you look at the way the GOP, particularly conservative women, because we need to understand that all of the anti-woman, anti-equal rights amendment, anti-feminism, anti-LGBTQ rights, anti-trans rights, not supporting, Title IX, all of the misogyny and patriarchy coming from the GOP, the women believe in it too. All right? So please disabuse yourself of this idea that, the women in the GOP don't like the anti-abortion and yes, they do. Yes, many of them do. There are some who will dissent, who have dissented, but please do not think the women in the GOP are opposed to the patriarchy and the denial of rights for women and for queer people, and the denial of health care, reproductive rights. No, they want that too, because see, those women have more resources than the rest of us do. So they will always be able to get the kind of health care they want for anything, for anything. Those rules, those mores, those Christian values, yeah, that's a smokescreen for whenever they get in trouble. Oh, those values go right out the window, honey. I've seen it. I have borne witness to some of the most ardent anti-abortion Christians when their precious peas get pregnant when they're teenagers, then all of a sudden their precious peas 3 weeks later are not pregnant anymore. And it's all very hush hush. I've seen it with my own eyes several times. So please don't think the women in the GOP are that they're not going to be swayed from the patriarchy. And it's those people, it's the women in the GOP who have, I think, the most problem with Amber Rose and her chosen professions, the way she has made her money. They do not like that she has expressed support for abortion rights, and they expect her to turn against that belief, just like she turned against her own previous statements about, being anti-Trump and Trump being an idiot and believing that Trump was a racist. And she said that she got with some Trump supporters, and they showed her that Trump supporters love everyone. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or gay or straight. And I don't know who she was talking to where she believed any of that from Trump supporters. But that's what she said in the speech. Excuse me. And I got it. I gotta hand it to uh the RNC. It was creative. I mean, it was a creative use of their money to pay her to try to turn black voters' heads toward the GOP. But it's interesting though, because I don't think they really realize the kind of relationship that Amber Rose doesn't really have with the black community. It's very strange, right? Like, okay, she's an entertainer, and yeah, I guess we pay some attention to her because of who she has dated, who she is married, and she's a rapper. Yeah, but she's been problematic anyway. She has pretty much said some pretty crummy things about black folks. Um, so we're kind of suspect about her in the first place. So Amber Rose, whoever did the market research or the opposition research or whatever they did and came up with using Amber Rose as a spokesperson for the blacks to the GOP. I'm not sure who did that research, but that stop paying them. They did not do their job well. Creative but bad. It was a bad idea. And now, according to the other GOP black token, Candace Owens, she has had a conversation with Amber Rose after her speech at the RNC. And Candace Owens says that Amber is having a hard time after being rejected by folks on both sides. She's been rejected by members of the GOP who do not think that her conversion to MAGA support is genuine. They think it's cynical because of her previous comments and of her because of her professions. And of course, the true believers of the Christofascism and the repression of women's rights in the GOP, well, of course, they don't like her because they don't want her representing them. They think she is impure. They think she is a scorned, unclean woman. They think she is immoral. And it's interesting when Candace Owens talks about how Amber Rose is having a hard time because of the criticism she's getting from both sides. I kind of feel like she was probably used to the criticism from the hip hop community, from black folks, from the celebrity watchers, because we've been critical of her foolishness for a minute. But I think the criticism from her new chosen MAGA family is that probably hurts a little bit. That probably hurts, especially after she did say during her speech that she believed the left wing propaganda that Donald Trump was racist. But after researching Trump's record to prove her pro Trump father wrong, Rose said she found that Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. Again, I don't know what she was researching. I do not know what she read, what she saw. I'm not sure what she saw when she saw in Donald Trump's history him taking out not one, but two full page ads in the New York Times calling for the execution of now the exonerated five. And when he did that, they were children, right? He called for the execution of children in New York. Racial discrimination lawsuits in New York in regard to the buildings that he owned. Yeah. Um, I don't know what she was looking at, but decades of racial discrimination in real estate, in his real estate ventures, his good people on both sides defense of white supremacist violence in Charlottesville. I don't know what she was looking at, but that's what she said at the convention speech. Um, and of course, yeah, the criticism she's getting is pretty intense, and I think it should be, because if you're going to allow yourself to be used opportunistically like this by the GOP, and I don't feel sorry for her because she entered into this knowingly, having done her research and all. And she thought that she was doing a good thing. But now that these people have rejected her, yeah, the criticism is very, very harsh, as I think it should be. Because you had to have known, she had to have known that these people didn't actually extend this invitation to her to come speak at their convention because they really, really like her, because they really like her politics, or because they admire her. No, they are using her to be the spokesman, to be the black folks whisperer, I guess, for the GOP. And of course, it's not going to work. So people have said that the sole reason that they picked a person who has a massive tattoo across their forehead, I got no judgment against her tattoo, who has no accomplishments whatsoever to address the Republican National Convention in prime time, mind you, is because of her proximity and her being a culture vulture to black people and to hip hop. And this was what's his face, Colbert, the I don't know why I can't remember his first name, but you know who I'm talking about, the late night talk show host, who said of her invitation to speak at the RNC that it was theater for Republicans to have the appearance of being more diverse than they really are, and that's true, because this woman clearly doesn't know anything about Donald Trump, doesn't know anything about the GOP. I don't know what kind of research she was doing. This was a check for her. This was the bag. She doesn't care how it turns out. If she is feeling I don't know, vulnerable, stressed, if she is feeling put upon, thank you, y'all in Black Liberation Media. Thank you, Stephen Colbert. I don't watch him, so I don't know what his name is. Um, yeah, I can see her feeling some kind of way, feeling, probably hurt that she has been rejected by her peers, right? And she's also been rejected by the people who she said she researched, and oh, they don't hate anybody, it's all love. Well, obviously they don't love you, Amber Rose. It's not all love, is it? So what do we do with this, folks? This is the question. I mean, it's entertaining, it's funny on some level, it's sad on another level, right? Because clearly these people are openly using Amber Rose, and exactly what Colbert said, her proximity to blackness, to hopefully get a bump in black voters. And on the one hand, it's hard not to be insulted by the GOP as they continue to have this idea that all they have to do to get Black people to vote for them is to trot out a Black person, any Black person, to say, hey, look, I'm here, and they don't hate me, so you can vote for them too. That is really the extent of the analysis and the research that the GOP does in their Black voter outreach, right? Which is why they come up with someone like Amber Rose, because really there is no one. Who could they really um, go to make the case for the GOP who would not be seen as an apologist for white supremacists? Because we all know what the GOP is. So they keep doing this thing and not changing who they are, but they keep doing this cynical thing where they're going to throw another Black person, another famous Black person up on the podium to get the Black folks to say, hey, tune in, see, we're not that bad. And every year or every 4 years, they get the same around 10% of registered Black voters who vote GOP. It's always around somewhere 7 to 10%. And we lose our minds about that small percentage of Black folks who vote GOP because it's somehow we think that there are no conservative Black people. And of course there are. And I'm going to prove it to you in just a few minutes. And I'm going to prove to you that you know a lot of conservative Black people too. And they don't want to call themselves that, but that's what their mindset is. So the GOP is in inviting these famous Black people to cape for them at their conventions. They are continuing to try this campaign of drawing Black people when they're not ever going to draw a new generation or influx of Black voters. It's not going to happen because the GOP is the party of white supremacy, settler colonialism, patriarchy, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, all of that, all of that. In the same vein, the Democrats aren't much better, especially when they continue the policies that uphold those ideologies that conservatives put in place when they are in power. And then Democrats come along and don't undo the policies, don't pass more policies, different policies, nothing. They just leave the stuff the way it is and then sit there and tell the country we're better than the Republicans. But the people are still being separated at the border. There's barbed wire at the border now. Several people, including children, have died at the border. This president has deported more people than Trump did. Yes. Most of them Haitian and Afro descended people from other yeah. So every 4 years we have this argument about, look, the GOP is what it is. They have not changed, they will not change. They trot these Black faces to cape for them out. Why do we keep paying attention to them? Why are we still mad at this 10% of of relatively well-off Black people who vote their economic interests, they vote their class interests, and they vote conservative? That is why that it's 7 to 10% of Black voters who always vote for conservatives, because they vote their class interests. They have no affiliation, no alignment, no ideological excuse me, unity with the vast majority of the Black population in this country, who are working class and poor folks. Mm-mm. And those Black conservative voters will never vote for Democrats because they absolutely believe in the pull yourself up by your bootstraps a personal responsibility, Protestant Christian work ethic. They absolutely believe that conservative ideology. So we're never going to get that 7 to 10% of the class traitor blacks to vote anything other than their class interests. But the interesting thing is, so called liberal blacks do the same thing when they vote for Democrats who don't do anything for working class and poor people, too. They vote their class interest also. They just dress their class interest up in progressivism that they actually don't vote for in the inside business of the Democratic Party. Because here's the thing, folks. Think about this real quick. As we're laughing at the farce that was the RNC convention, because it was an absolute farce. Tim Scott and this young black GOP senator, coming in making a joke about Joe Biden saying that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Remember that? Remember that when he said that in 2020 on the Breakfast Club, and somehow that dude still got elected. Yeah, so young black Republican senator just elected, young brother comes in and says and makes a joke, play on Biden's words. Hey, if you don't vote for Trump, you ain't black. I mean, you could be mad that he said it, but I think it was hilarious that he was able to take that joke from Biden, who said it seriously. He was serious about it and turn it on its head and use it. I mean, couldn't make this stuff up as creative as I am. Oh my God. The only thing that was missing from the RNC convention was 3 rings, an elephant standing on its hind legs, and somebody spitting fire. I just, sword swallow. It was a circus. It was ridiculous. But as we're thinking about that, think about this. The Democratic Party is having a little bit of an internal crisis because they realize that Joe Biden, he's a little bit problematic. It's the more and more Democrats, and this is not me saying this, this is actually happening in real life. More Democrats, senior Democrats in the Senate and in the House, are now openly saying, I think we need to move away from Joe Biden as the candidate because I don't think he's going to make it. It might not work out. And now they are openly advancing a conversation about who can we put in this nomination other than Joe Biden. So now you would think that if there are so many progressive minded people in the Democratic Party, that of course they would choose a progressive candidate, right? You would think, because they know they need new blood. These are all the things they're saying. We need new blood. We need a younger generation of leaders. We need all of this kind of stuff. But this is the same party that ran campaigns, that many of which were funded by AIPAC, against progressive Democrats who ran for open seats in the last midterm elections. So the Democrats ran campaigns against progressives who were running as Democrats to try to bring more progressivism to the Democratic Party. So if you think that the Democrats are now going to move a progressive candidate into the nomination just because they're moving Biden out of the way, you have another thing coming. It's not going to happen. There is not going to be a progressive savior of the Democratic Party that they're going to put forward. They're not going to take a chance and push forward one of the quote unquote squad, because they recognize that the squad is embattled, and the Democratic Party would like very much for all of the members of the squad to be primaried. So they are going to run campaigns against these people to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. So who are they going to choose other than Biden? It's going to be Gavin Newsom. It's not going to be Kamala Harris. I don't see it. I don't see the Democratic Party taking a chance on Kamala Harris, because they understand that she is polling as abysmally as Joe Biden is. And they are finally admitting that Joe Biden is seeing a lot of slipping in the polls in regard to support. So, what's not going to happen is the Democratic Party is not going to listen to its young, black, brown, excuse me, progressive base. They're not. And they are going to pay for that. I don't think that whoever they have as nominee, I don't see them being able to defeat Donald Trump, who is at this point Teflon. The assassination attempt has turned his supporters. They were cult adjacent in the first place. And now, watching the RNC convention, looking at these people sitting in that arena with napkins taped to their ears in solidarity with Trump, whose ear was nicked by the assassination attempt. I what do you do with that? There is nothing you can do with that level of, what do you even call that? I don't even know. But I know that there's nothing logical in there. You can't reason with people who do that. So the GOP is what it is. It is Trump's party, and it will forever be Trump's party. The Democratic Party is what we have to contend with, honestly, because we have to be very, very clear that the Democratic Party despises working class and poor people and hates progressives. We have seen them sue to kick the Green Party off of ballots in certain states so that voters don't even have the choice to vote for what political party they want to. This is the Democrats doing this now. That's the party that folks are saying, oh, we need to vote for the Democrats to keep the GOP from getting back into office and implementing Project 2025. Even though Project 2025, those things have been implemented. We've been talking about those things as they have been rolling out. And we have been asking, what have the Democrats done to stop any of it? Nothing. So we have, and this is the other side of the spectrum, the other end of the political spectrum. We have petty bourgeois, black misleadership class folks who are beholden to the Democrat. I mean, married to the Democrat. Their identity is wrapped up in the Democratic Party. Why? Because that's kind of where they get their power, their influence, their little piece of money. Right? So they are voting their class interests too, because this Democratic Party is not a party for working class and poor people. It's not a party of the people and for the people and by the people. It's a party of the upper class, the political liberal class. And we should really call them the neoliberal class, because what they want is capitalism, but with rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter symbols. But they still want capitalism, the exploitation, the low wages, the lack of health care, the parsing out of resources for education only for certain communities. Yeah, the Democrats want to keep that. They want the developers to continue to make millions, billions off of working class and poor people. They want to criminalize homelessness because they need to make money off of the prison industrial complex. This is the neoliberal elite that is happy with silencing speech if you condemn Israel. This is the neoliberal elite that is happy with sicking the FBI on you if you criticize US militarism and domestic policing and the collusion of the Democrats and the Congressional Black Caucus in beefing up police and military budgets that have been used against their constituents, us. Yeah, the petit bourgeois class of black voter are also our problem in keeping black folks in a stranglehold of the Democratic Party. It's not even a relationship; it's an abusive situation. And let me show you really quickly in the last few minutes I have how some of these petit bourgeois black folks who have a little bit more money than the rest of us think, because they don't think the way we do. There is a meme that is going around on social media, and several of the people I know um, have shared it. And the meme says this: 4 years ago, the Dow Jones closed at 19,173. Yesterday, it closed at 39,291, doubling retirement accounts. So, yes, we are better off than we were 4 years ago. That is ridiculous. That is classist drivel. Do you know why? Because the health of the stock market does not reflect the economic health of 98% of the people in this country. The stock market ends on a high. You and I are still broke, ain't we? Stock market ends on 40,000 units of trading, the highest it's ever been in whenever. Has your bank account gone up? Savings account gone up because the stock market gone up? Oh, your retirement account has increased because of the stock market ending higher. How many black people in this country have a retirement account? How many? Not a lot. Not a lot of workers in general in this country have retirement accounts. Do you know why? Because companies do not invest in benefits for their employees anymore. See, people used to be loyal to companies that took care of them by providing a pension, decent health care, decent sick leave and vacation, and they can put their kids through college on one salary at a company and they can retire with enough money to live comfortably. That doesn't nobody who does that. Nobody does that anymore. No, there are few companies, if any, that do that anymore. And workers who are not salaried employees, but who are hourly employees, do not get retirement accounts. And if they have access to a retirement account, they can't afford to contribute to it because they have to eat, because they have to buy clothes, because they have to feed their children and pay for school supplies, and because they have to keep a roof over their head, and because rents keep going up. Rents keep going up, the stock market goes up, rents go up, but salaries don't go up. Hourly wages do not go up when the stock market goes up. And furthermore, let's talk about the stock market real quick. 93% of the stock market, the value of 93% of the stock market is already completely owned by 10% of the wealthiest Americans in this country. That's right. The richest Americans own the vast majority of the US stock market. 93% of all of the stocks. So what the stock market ends on a high. You don't get rich. Even if you have an investment account, and I do, I have a little small one, there's not a lot in it. And if I have my way and I start traveling like I want to, there's not going to be a whole lot left in it because I am going to live. Do you understand me? But if you have a 401k or retirement account, okay, the stock market ended on a high. Your retirement account got a little bit of a bump. The 10% that owns 93% of the stock market, they're the ones who made all of the billions from the stock market ending on a high, not you and your retirement account. Because with that retirement account, you're still not going to be able to retire and live off of the benefits of your retirement account without additional supplemental income. That 10% of the richest Americans, they are and have been living off of 93% of the value of the stock market and all of the profits thereof. While we are talking about we are better off because our little 1% investment in the rest of the 7% of the stock market that's left, that's supposed to we supposedly benefit from that. No, oh my gosh. This is why we are consistently and seriously frequently talking about class in regard to the struggle we have as well as race. The connection between race, class, oppression, and inequality in this country are inextricable, and we cannot talk about one without talking about the other. That's why we talk about it so much here on Darker Than Blue. But hey, we are out of time for this show. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Friday. We'll be back next Friday with another Darker Than Blue. But right now, stay tuned for News Views with Garland Nixon. Continue to listen to WPFW FM 98.3 FM on your radio dial, the Washington, D.C. area. Have a fantastic weekend, you all. Peace, if you are willing to fight for it. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for hanging out for Darker Than Blue. Excuse me. The weather changed, so my sinuses are confused. But that's a good thing because it is not as hot as it was. I was able to go outside and enjoy my weather. It's my weather because I get to garden. So it's my weather, my gardening weather, hanging out today with my fun Temu and Shein gardening supplies. I love Temu and Shein, and I don't care how you feel about it, but I loves them. And they have surely helped me to do some things that I probably wouldn't have been able to do because I wouldn't have been able to afford the shit. Right? So like I'm really excited because I was able to get a big old karaoke speaker with 2 mics from Temu, one of the free gifts. and that is for the organization. That's for Speak Outs. I was able to replace my cart that I drag all of my supplies with. So all of our citywide alliances are going to have this stuff, right? I got my cart replaced. I have in my cart a bunch of safety vests. I have in my cart projectors. They have mini projectors where you can use your cell phone with them, and then the regular full-size projectors. The screens, they've got the big inflatable outdoor screens. I'm gonna get a couple of those. Kids toys like the building brought 5,000 piece like Lego like things. 5,000 pieces of building blocks for $15. Look, y'all got kids. You got kids, and some of you are teachers. And some of you, I don't understand people who y'all just like spending a lot of money on stuff. I do not understand that. I will go to a thrift store. I will, if it's on the curb, look, there is no reason to spend full price for anything ever, especially if you can get it new for cheap. and definitely Timu and Shein stuff is new and it is cheap. I got a what did I do? I got a patio swing, the double swing chair. Yep, $40. $220 retail. $220 retail. If I bought it anywhere else, since it was being sold through Shein, yes, Shein. I shop both Timu and Shein. Sometimes I put the two names together because they sound so great. They might as well be one. And then there is a third company that we don't know anything about because they don't have a market here in the US. But the third company is Alibaba. And they are just like, for people like me who just I like now, I do not like clothes shopping in person, like going to the store because I have to try everything on. And I especially have to do that now because I lost so much weight through all of these through all of this health stuff. I've lost like 50 pounds. So yeah, I have to try everything on. So like clothes shopping to me is kind of a pain in the behind. I don't like doing it in person. It's easier for me to do it online because I just go look at the measurements for the garment and I know whether it fits or not. Because I'm short, I know the sleeves are always going to be long, the legs are always going to be long on the pants, the skirts are always going to be too long because I'm only 5'1". But the problem for me has always been I'm way bigger on the top. And now I'm a little less bigger on, on the top, but I am. They still there. Yeah. Uh-huh. So I'm still bigger on the top than I am. So but I have had no problems buying clothes from Shein and Timu. You have to read the descriptions and read the reviews, folks, because people put pictures of the stuff that they buy, and sometimes you can see how a garment will look on somebody else. And I have definitely I am not a dwarf. I am just vertically inclined. God just put me in a little small package. He said, "That's enough." Look at her; she's so cute. um, so yeah, so I have looked at something on these sites. Um, oh, excuse me. I have looked at stuff on these sites and said, "Oh, that's so cute," and looked at the reviews and looked at the garment on other people and been like, "Oh no." Mm, she shouldn't even have that on. That's terrible. So, yes, look at the reviews, read the reviews, look at the pictures that people read the descriptions. People come back with all of these like little doll sized pieces of furniture. That's because they actually are kid furniture, that like they do have like little sofas and easy chairs and sectionals for kids. So you do have to read. And I have accidentally ordered something, thought it was one thing, got it, and it's like, oh, this is a spring to a bigger thing because I didn't read the reviews. Why am I talking about this? Oh my gosh, Jackie, why are you talking about shopping? They're so capitalist. Look, we all need things. Um, for our professions, for our families, for those of us who are organizing. I cannot even explain to you how much material is needed for organizing. And this is the kind of stuff that people don't really like tell you because this is not the sexy part, right? This is the part um, of organizing that I wish we would be more honest about, because I think if we were more honest about it, we would be more creative about how to address this part of it. But we do need materials. We do always need print. printing something, we need things like safety vests, right? We do need walkie talkies. We do not need to be on our cell phones in the middle of a demonstration. Do you know why? Because the police, number one, they throttle the Wi-Fi signal whenever there's a big demonstration. They do it, and they do it because all of a sudden you can't. Um, yeah. So, um, when we're out in public demonstrations, we need more secure communications. We need walkie-talkies. We can get walkie-talkies from, we can get a bunch of safety vests. We can get a bunch of, we need childcare. When we think of having events where we're inviting the public, we're always saying, how do we make our events more accessible to people? One of the ways we can make it accessible is to always provide childcare for working people. Right. So, but what are you doing in the childcare with the kids? Or are they just sitting there? You just sitting around telling stories? Do you have games? Do you have uh um what do you call them? Like coloring books and crayons, markers, paint, stuff for the kids to do? No, you need to get that. You need to have that. You need to get a bunch of like inexpensive little giveaways to put your sticker on and give it to people, hand it out. We need these things. And we don't think about how we're going to get these things aside from, oh, we have to shop we have to shop at Walmart. We have to shop at Amazon. No, we don't. We don't. And Shein and Timu and Alibaba are proof of that. So yeah, it might take a week, an extra week to get some of the supplies, but you can't get bulk supplies, the amount of stuff that we need, the kind of stuff that we need for the little bit of money that we would spend on these sites to get these things. So yeah, I dig these sites because they are inexpensive and I get, my makeup and my skincare, which I just love. The Korean skincare is ridiculous. It is, woo, it's ridiculous. Because I love that stuff. And because it makes me feel good getting my little clothes and my lounge wear and all. I love that stuff. It makes me feel fantastic. But I also recognize, hey, we can really use some of this stuff to share with our organizations to do to do this stuff. And Jamandi, this is a good point. Those got to be on super exploited labor. Now here's the thing, we are led to believe that in order for a company or a manufacturer to charge low prices, they must be exploiting their labor. Because this is what we're told. The only way a company can charge prices that low is if they are exploiting their labor. Well, think of it the other way, because there used to be a practice in US corporations in which companies would diversify their portfolios of products. So they would have like Sears, right? Think of Sears. They sold a lot of stuff. So they had a lot of different ways that they could make money. So Sears for a very long time not only sold pretty much anything you wanted, anything you could ever need. You could buy a house from Sears. There was a time when you could buy an entire house from Sears. Montgomery Ward too. And it was inexpensive because the company sold more than one thing. So they had multiple lines of revenue from their multiple products. So they didn't have to specialize in one or two products that they claimed they had to charge all this money for because of the specialized nature of these products. One way that companies make money and are able to keep their prices down is to provide a lot of diversity of products for people. It's supply and demand. So you don't supply things that people don't want, right? You supply a lot of things that people want and need and will buy. And that's what Temu and Shein are doing. Now, I am not going to sit here and say that there are not some uncomfortable and probably questionable practices in some warehouses. But because I'm not there, I can't tell you that definitively. I think I can say that I think I can say with certainty that sorting and shipping the amount of product that these companies provide. Now, remember, these companies are not manufacturing these products. All of these other country companies are manufacturing these products and they are being sold through these outlets, right? So these companies are not paying a whole heck of a lot of money for these products in the first place because they are buying them directly from the manufacturers in China, right? So their supply chain is short relatively. It's in their country and in their country, right? So they're not spending a whole lot of money for these products because they don't have to, because they're not having to worry about shipping costs and what customs and tariffs because the manufacturers are in China. So when they ship them, they'll add a little markup because they have to make some money, right? But the markup is not what we see in the United States. We don't, we they're not marking stuff up like 100, 150, 200%. Are there markups? Yes. And with Temu, when you first join, the prices are really cheap. And then as you go along, then the prices start to get a little higher. So yeah, they will increase their prices the more you buy, right? But it's still so much less than what you would spend if you bought it here. And here's the other interesting thing. For larger products like my patio swing, I bought a mirrored armoire. It's sitting right here. You probably can't see it. I'm gonna try to show it to you. There it is. Yep, armoire. Bought this armoire. $45 in total. $233 retail if I had bought it through Wayfair or something like that. $180 on sale as much. That's the best I could do. But buying that through Shein, I think, because it was sold through Shein, it was sold for a retail price of $98 from $233 through Shein. And then with various discounts and coupons that I have on my account, I ended up paying about 45, $50 for it. So, I mean, look, you can't beat that with a stick. And I get that it's capitalism, but at least my money is going to a socialist country so somebody can enjoy some socialism if I can't yet. So while I'm recuperating from all of these surgeries and my whole life just kind of being flipped upside down, yes, I'm going to enjoy some things and my little games and gifts and my little stuff from Temu and Shein help me do that. It's fun. And I'm also able to do a few more things for my organization because I'm able to afford some stuff that we need that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise without spending a whole lot of money that we did not have to spend. I'm selling you on Temu because it's good for you. Temu is good for you. So I don't know why I talked about that. That was just, I just, And that was just something that I had on my mind. No reason. I am not trying to get you to go ahead. I'm not trying to make you um shop on Timu and Shein. I just love them. I love them very much. So there, that's that. But in all seriousness though, what the retirement thing, excuse me, all my sinuses are really a mess right now. The retirement thing had me worried for a long time too, because I didn't have a 401k for a long time because I was not a salaried employee. I was an hourly employee. And then when I did have an opportunity to participate in a 401k, I mean, I wasn't making a lot of money, so I couldn't put a lot into a 401k. So I never had a lot in my 401k. Um, and when emergencies happen, I mean, where else was I going to get that money from? So yeah, for a lot of people, excuse me, for a lot of people, um, 401k or a retirement account is a foreign thing. Most workers in this country do not have a retirement account, so it's very strange to me. Um, Black people in particular, who are supposed to be progressive now, talking about the stock market closed on a high, so our retirement accounts are better than they were 4 years ago. So we are better off. We who? Who is better off? The 16 of y'all with a decent retirement account? And it's wild because the people who have posted that, they're retired. So they are living off of their retirement account that has not gotten any bigger. I don't understand these people. I'm trying not to be judgmental, but I really do not understand how people think that the health of the stock market reflects in any way the health of the economic situation of our people. That is just wild to me. That people really that is the argument. So what does this mean for us, for retirement, for people who don't have 401k, who don't have enough money to put in a retirement account? Most Americans who are working don't have $500 in the bank for emergencies. Do you understand? If the car dies, if the engine dies, the car is dead because that's 7 grand. You understand me? And people can't afford. People are always talking about all you have to do is you have to have this and you have to have that coverage. How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for that extended warranty? That's $70 a month. That's between 50 and $70 a month. How you gonna pay for that extended warranty when you can barely afford your rent? Right? How in the world are you going to save up 1.5 times your rent? Because that is still, when people talk about you need to save, you should have 1.5 times your rent and 6 months of bills in your savings. What? How? When you can barely afford to pay your rent and your electric bill now and pay them all. What? That's most people in this country. We're not talking about, we're not talking about irresponsible deadbeat. That's no. We're talking about most people with jobs who work, and not just one job. Many people have more than one job to make ends meet. So how are people who can barely afford rent and food at the same time, how are they able to afford to contribute anything to a 401k? Particularly when the job they have is a low wage, low paying service job, and it doesn't even offer a 401k. doesn't offer a pension for them to contribute to. And if it does offer a pension, then maybe the employer doesn't offer matching funds, right? Right? Uh-huh. Yeah. So for retirement, for a lot of us, it's going to look like Social Security. That's what it's going to look like. Retirement is going to be Social Security, and that means a lot of us are going to have to move somewhere, either in this country or somewhere else, where we can actually afford to live on Social Security. That's why a lot of our people retire down south. Hmm. Because we don't have a retirement account. Or if we do, it doesn't provide the income we need. So we need the retirement account is the supplement to the Social Security, right? So for a lot of us, retirement will look like Social Security every month. And that is depressing because it's not a lot. I mean, look, I'm on Social Security disability right now because of the kidney transplant. $2,700 a month looks good on paper until you got to pay that $1,600 a month mortgage. You got to pay that $100 Pepco bill, the 40 to $60 water bill, the home warranty bill, the car insurance bill. Yeah. And then you realize that 200 that $2,700 a month is gone. So then you have to hope that you have some type of supplemental resources for food. So DC denied me for SNAP benefits because when I applied for disability before I had the surgery, I had a little bit of money in the bank because I had just gotten fired. Right. So I had my 6 months of bills saved up, and I had a few months saved up for my mortgage. I did. I had all, so they saw all that money in the bank and they're like, you don't need food stamps. You do not. So they did not give me food stamps. So now that I have paid all the bills for 6 months and I've paid the mortgage for 6 months, now I have to go down there again now that I have no money in the bank and apply for food stamps again, because that $2,700 pays the bills. That's fantastic, but I still need to eat. Do you understand? So that is what my retirement is going to be like. This is practice for retirement for me. So I need this little, the little contribution that we get from Black Liberation Media. Yeah, I need that little revenue. I need that Patreon money. I need it because I need to eat. This is what retirement is going to be like for a lot of us. And unfortunately, a lot of us are still going to have to work some kind of part time job. It breaks my heart and it pisses me off to see seniors working fast food restaurants because I know that Social Security is not enough for them to live on. They got to eat too, so they have to still work. This should not be. In the richest country this planet has probably ever seen, there is no reason that a worker should not be able to retire on a decent pension, be able to afford their home, their bills, and to enjoy a little bit of leisure time. Leisure time should not be something that only rich people get to have. That's how this country operates. This is how they indoctrinate us. We are supposed to work until we are dead. That's basically it. And if we didn't hit the jackpot and have all of our hard work pay off with all of this wealth, then it was our fault. We didn't work hard enough. If we don't retire with a 6 or 7 figure retirement account so we can play golf every day when we retire from our job, then that's our fault. We didn't work hard enough. We didn't invest wisely enough. That's what people will tell us. And then when you tell these people, I was an hourly employee, I couldn't afford to invest. Invest what? I could be one paycheck. I got paid twice a month. One paycheck went toward the mortgage. The entire paycheck went toward the mortgage. The other paycheck went toward food, bills, and everything else. And after that was spent, there wasn't anything left over. So invest in what? With what? And then the crypto people come along with their bullshit. Well, this is why cryptocurrency is for people. So I take this $5 that I have left over after everything that I have had to pay. I take this $5 and invest it into cryptocurrency, and it might grow. It might grow based on how many other suckers get roped into buying cryptocurrency, because it is a Ponzi scheme. What can I do with the profits from my little $5 cryptocurrency investment at the end of the month? How much more? How much is that $5 investment in crypto going to make in 30 days? On the 31st day, can I take the profits from that investment, the return on that investment into cryptocurrency? Can I take the return on that investment and pay my rent next month? No, you can't. No, not with a $5 investment in cryptocurrency. No, you cannot. So cryptocurrency is not going to save us either. Retirement for a lot of us is going to look like Social Security and a part-time job somewhere. That is the reality for working class and poor people in a capitalist society. Some of us, like I said, will retire down south where it is less expensive, or to other states where the cost of living is lower, which I think we should. That's fine. Um, because why struggle to survive somewhere we don't have to? That no, some of us may go to another country, which I highly recommend. That is what I'm going to do. I wouldn't recommend going alone, but why not? Why not? Go to retire in the Caribbean. Why not retire in Cuba? Why not retire in Nicaragua and on the Pacific coast in Bluefields in Colombia? Why not retire in somewhere where we can afford to live like human beings? Where we can be treated like human beings? Why not? So I too um look at retirement with some anxiety, because number one, I'm closer to retirement age than I am to investment age, right? And I don't have a lot in investments, and I have decided I'm not going to worry about that, because I know that what I'm going to do, I pretty much know what I'm going to get for so as far as Social Security benefits are concerned. If I wait a couple years, that'll bump up a little bit, but I'm not going to wait until I'm 67, 70 years old to get the heck out of here. I am going to go somewhere where I can afford to live and live a decent quality of life and be treated like a human being. And I think that as many of us as can do that, we should. And if we can't, then consider renting a house together, buying a house together, you know, cohabitating, group living. I think we're going to need to be creative, and not even really creative. I think we're going to need to go back to some of our roots, some of our ancestors' practices on how they survived. They didn't survive alone. Sometimes, yeah, they did have a house, and somebody, that was the house where the lady was the lodger. She rented rooms, and we helped her pay her mortgage. We rented for a place to stay. We helped her pay the mortgage on the house. This is something I think we should be doing now. I would love for some of my comrades to come and kind of hang out here for, because I'm not getting rid of this house. This house belongs to the movement. So I would love for us to go back to multi-generational living the way we used to. I know some of our parents and grandparents get on our nerves. I know. But we are not going to survive in this capitalist system without the support and the help and the cooperation and the collaboration of our people. We're not. So we might as well do it now. We might as well start now. I feel that, Warren. I do. I feel that. I certainly have my moments when I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you or anybody else, and I'm gonna be in my bedroom with my door closed. And then, a lot of times I'm pretty chatty. I like hanging out in the living room, just hanging out with people. Um, but it's 50-50. I have to be in the mood. Like when I really want to be social, I invite the comrades over. I just do. I want to be social. I want to hang out, have a good time. Hey, we're having a kickback at the house. So and so is coming over. Why don't y'all come? That's what I do. Yeah. But I am for a commune. I am for community gardening. I am for resource sharing. Um, all of this kind of stuff. I the answers are out there. The models are out there. They are just in countries where we are told the people are the enemies of us and we don't have anything to do with these people. But these people have survived decades of unrelenting pressure and attacks from the United States, attempting to cripple their economies. And these people have not only survived, but in many ways they have thrived. I mean, Nicaragua is food sovereign right now. They don't need to go anywhere else in the world to feed their people. Their food comes from their country, their own resources. That is power. That's power. We can do that. We just have to pay attention to the people who are doing it and stop paying attention to the people who don't want us to do it, telling us that the people who are doing it are a bunch of psycho communists who want to destroy America. Nobody wants to destroy America. People want America to leave them alone. That's what people want. People, I mean, if America goes away, people are like, well, that's great too. That's fantastic too. Now we get some peace. But people exercising their sovereignty in their countries and control of their own resources are not doing those things in order to then turn around and destroy America. No, they're doing those things because they want to survive in spite of what America is doing to them. And we've got to do that, y'all. So it is 6:33. That's pretty much all I think I had to say for today. Not a whole lot going on. Personally, hope you guys are enjoying this week. I hope you have some good things planned for this weekend. I hope that you are taking very good care of yourselves. I am taking better care of myself. Do something nice for yourself this weekend and do something nice for somebody else this weekend. Be good to yourself, be good to each other. As always, a luta continua. This struggle will continue, y'all, but I promise you, if we keep struggling, if we keep fighting, Victoria acerta. Victory is certain. See, but I have to. It's time for my nightcap. It's time for my cap, my drink and my cap. I have a beer and my Uncle Nearest and cola. That's my it's time. Well, okay, it's half an hour early, but I appreciate y'all so much. Please support Black Liberation Media on Patreon. I think we still have our Patreon. on where it's still called Black Power Media on Patreon. I think, I'm not sure. I'm so confused. Check us out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Remix Morning Show here on Black Liberation Media. Check me out every Friday, 5 p.m., doing whatever it is I do, whatever I talk about, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, that from 5 to 6:37ish. And yeah, let's just stick around for the rest of the week for everything else that is surely to come. Peace, y'all. Have a fantastic weekend.